What if the Avril Lavigne we see today isn't actually Avril Lavigne? That's right. One of the internet's longest-running celebrity conspiracies claims the real Avril passed away back in 2003. According to believers, her record label covered it up and replaced her with a lookalike named Melissa Vandella. Sounds wild, doesn't it? We're not here to say it's true, but we are breaking down every piece of evidence, every theory, and every twist in this bizarre story. Because whether you believe it or not, this conspiracy has been alive for over 20 years, and what we found might actually surprise you.
There is a crazy rumor out there about you that I obviously have to ask about.
Oh, yeah, that one. I know what you're talking about. There's a conspiracy theory that I'm not me. Cool. Honestly, it's not that bad. It could be worse, right? I feel like I got a good one. I don't think it's like negative or anything like creepy. So it's like,
Avril, this conspiracy theory about you is a little creepy. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be worse.
It could? Yeah. Just to give people context, there's a conspiracy theory that Avril Lavigne is no longer with us. And there is a woman named Melissa who took over. And you, I can't even say it seriously. You sitting across from me, you are Melissa.
So where did this whole crazy idea come from? The story begins in the mid-2000s. On internet forums and fan pages, people started whispering that something was off about Avril. But the theory really took shape in 2011. That's when a Brazilian blogger published a post called Avril Está Morta. It translates to Avril is dead. The blog laid out a wild backstory. According to the post, Avril struggled with depression after her grandfather passed away in 2003. The theory claims she took her own life that same year. But here's where it gets darker. Instead of announcing her passing, her record label allegedly made a choice. They hired a body double, a lookalike actress named Melissa Vandella, and this woman supposedly took over Avril's entire identity, her career, her music, her life. The name Melissa Vandella was born from this blog post, and it stuck. For years, this story spread across forums. Self-proclaimed Avril Rangers obsessed over it. They shared side-by-side photos. They analyzed lyrics. They looked for any proof they could find. By 2014, the rumor was big enough that Avril was asked about it on Brazilian TV. She laughed it off. She said it was her first time hearing it, but the conspiracy wasn't done yet. In 2015, a BuzzFeed reporter tweeted about the Brazilian blog. Suddenly, English-speaking fans discovered the theory. Then in May 2017, everything exploded. A high school student posted a massive Twitter thread about the conspiracy. It detailed everything: the alleged death, the replacement, the cover-up. That thread got over 250,000 retweets, major news outlets picked it up, and just like that, the theory went mainstream. Here's the twist though. The original Brazilian blogger later admitted the truth. It was a hoax, a social experiment. He wanted to prove how easily people believe conspiracy theories. He even apologized. But by then, it was too late. The theory had escaped. It had a life of its own, and to this day, it refuses to disappear. Alright, let's break down what believers actually claim happened. Think of this like a movie plot, because that's how detailed this theory gets. According to the conspiracy, everything changed in 2003. Avril's debut album, Let Go, had just made her a global superstar. She was everywhere, but behind the scenes, things were falling apart. Believers say Avril was battling severe depression. Her grandfather had just passed away, and the pressure of fame was crushing her. Then, in 2003, the unthinkable supposedly happened. Avril took her own life. But here's where the conspiracy really kicks in. Her record label was facing a massive problem. Avril was their golden goose. Albums were selling, tours were booked, millions of dollars were on the line. So instead of announcing her passing, they made a decision. They would hide it completely. The label allegedly had a backup plan already in motion. Before Avril's supposed death, they'd hired a body double named Melissa Vandella. Her job? To stand in for Avril at public events when the real star was tired or overwhelmed. But after Avril died, Melissa's role changed forever. She wasn't just a stand-in anymore. She became Avril, full-time. The theory claims Melissa learned everything. Avril's mannerisms, her voice, her style. She studied the real Avril so closely that she could fool the world. And according to believers, that's exactly what happened. From 2003 onward, every public appearance was Melissa. Every album was Melissa. Every interview, every photo, every concert, all Melissa. The real Avril Lavigne was gone, and Melissa Vandella had stolen her entire existence. Believers even claim Avril's 2004 album, Under My Skin, was pieced together. They say it used leftover recordings from the real Avril mixed with new vocals from Melissa. It's a story straight out of Hollywood. A tragic death, a corporate cover-up, a woman living a lie. And for over 20 years, believers insist this secret has been kept hidden. But here's the question. If this really happened, how did nobody notice? This is where things get really obsessive. Believers have spent years analyzing Avril's appearance, and they claim they've found proof. Let's start with the face comparisons. Conspiracy theorists love putting photos side by side. Early 2000s Avril next to present-day Avril, and they point out differences. Her nose? They say it looks different. The shape changed. Her jawline? Not the same. They claim the bone structure doesn't match, but it doesn't stop there. Believers obsess over the smallest details. details. Moles and freckles, for example. They say certain moles that Avril had in 2002 mysteriously vanished in later photos. To them, this isn't aging or makeup, it's proof of a different person. Some even measured her height. In 2002, Avril was reportedly 1.58 meters tall, but later measurements showed 1.55 meters. Believers jumped on this. People don't shrink, they argued. Freckles and height don't change. Wake up! Of course, this ignores simple explanations. Bad posture, different shoes, even incorrect celebrity stats online. But the conspiracy doesn't care about logic. Then there's the handwriting. Fans compared Avril's signature from 2002 to signatures from later years. They claim the writing style is completely different loops, different slants. To believers, this is smoking gun evidence. But graphologists would tell you that handwriting naturally evolves over time, especially under stress or when you're signing thousands of autographs. And let's not forget the fashion argument. Early Avril was a tomboy, baggy pants, neckties, skater vibes. But later Avril, she wore dresses, pink outfits, more polished looks. Believers insist the real Avril wore pants, while Melissa prefers dresses.
Yeah, you can always argue that her style changed, but this definitely supports the theory. There was an interview where Avril said that she would never wear preppy clothes, but around the time she passed away, allegedly, she started wearing preppier clothes. I saw another thing that was like, if you want to know which is which, Avril wears trousers and Melissa wears dresses and skirts. And in addition to the face changes that I previously talked about, there are a bunch of other changes. People think that her voice got higher, her signature changed, freckles and birthmarks were moved around, as I showed in the last video, and she started showing more skin in her music videos and photo shoots. But I mean, this could be just like a maturing thing.
As if personal style can't evolve over 20 years. The internet even turned this into a game. Fans would zoom in on photos, circle tiny details, draw arrows pointing at moles, create elaborate comparison charts. It became almost like detective work, except the detectives were looking for clues that didn't exist. The truth is, Avril aged. She changed her style. She grew up. But to conspiracy believers, every tiny difference is another piece of the puzzle. Another reason to believe Melissa is real. Now we're entering the most dramatic part of this conspiracy, the hidden messages. Believers claim that Melissa left clues everywhere. Breadcrumbs of guilt scattered throughout Avril's music, and some of these so-called clues are pretty wild. Let's start with the lyrics. In 2004, Avril released the album Under My Skin, and 2 songs became conspiracy fuel. First, there's Slipped Away. The lyrics hit hard. The day you slipped away was the day I found it. Won't be the same. Believers read this as Melissa mourning Avril's death, like she's confessing through the music, singing about the day the real Avril died. Then there's Nobody's Home, another emotional track. Avril sings, "She was lost and she couldn't be found." Conspiracy theorists jumped on this line. To them, it's Melissa hinting that Avril is gone, lost forever, hidden from the world. These interpretations ignore one huge fact. Avril wrote these songs about real pain, her grandfather's death, breakups, the struggles of fame. But believers don't see grief, they see guilt. They see coded confessions from an imposter living a lie. And then there's the photo, the one that really sent people spiraling. In a promotional photo shoot, Avril posed with something written on her hand, the word Melissa, just sitting there, clear as day. When this image surfaced, conspiracy believers lost their minds. Why would Avril write Melissa on her hand, they asked. Unless Melissa is Avril. To them, this wasn't a random choice. It was a slip-up, a moment where the imposter accidentally revealed her real identity, or maybe it was intentional. A cry for help, a way of saying, I'm trapped in this lie. Of course, the simpler explanation? It was probably just a quirky photo shoot prop, maybe an inside joke with her team, maybe the name of someone on set. But in conspiracy land, nothing is ever that simple. Every detail has meaning. Every lyric is a clue. Every photo hides a secret. Believers have turned Avril's entire career into a scavenger hunt, looking for proof that Melissa exists, that she's been hiding in plain sight all along, dropping hints, leaving messages, waiting for someone to finally expose the truth. Here's the real question. Why did anyone believe this in the first place? Because let's be honest, it sounds ridiculous, but there's actually psychology behind it, and it explains a lot. First, let's talk about Avril's transformation. When she burst onto the scene in 2002, she had a very specific image. Skater girl, rebellious, raw and unfiltered. She was the anti-pop star, baggy clothes, heavy eyeliner, attitude for days. But then something changed. By the mid-2000s, Avril's look started shifting. More glamorous, more polished. She experimented with different sounds. Pop influences crept into her music. She even released Girlfriend in 2007, a bright, bubbly track that felt miles away from Skater Boy. For some fans, this shift was too much. They couldn't accept it. The Avril they loved was gone, so their brains created an explanation. She didn't change, she was replaced. It's easier to believe in a conspiracy than accept that people evolve. Now add the pressure of fame. Avril was barely 18 when she became a global sensation. Imagine that weight, the constant touring, the media scrutiny, the demands from her label. That kind of pressure breaks people, and Avril has been open about her struggles. She's talked about feeling overwhelmed, about battling Lyme disease later in her career, about about needing time away from the spotlight. But instead of seeing a human being dealing with real challenges, conspiracy theorists saw something else. They saw someone acting different because they are different. Mental health struggles became evidence of replacement. Time away became proof of a cover-up. It's a dark twist. Taking someone's genuine pain and turning it into conspiracy fuel. There's also the fan attachment factor. When you love a celebrity, you build an image of them in your mind. You decide who they are, what they represent, and when reality doesn't match that image, it hurts. Some fans refuse to let go. They'd rather believe in an elaborate clone story than admit their idol simply grew up, changed, moved on. The conspiracy gave them control. It lets them hold on to the real Avril forever, even if she never actually existed the way they imagined. So what does Avril actually think about all this? For years, she had no idea the theory even existed, but eventually, she had to face it head on. The first time Avril heard about the conspiracy was in 2014. She was doing an interview on Brazilian TV. Someone brought up the rumor, and her reaction? Pure confusion. She laughed. She seemed genuinely shocked. "I'm here in Brazil," she joked. Like, obviously she's alive, obviously she's the real Avril. But the theory kept growing. By 2017, it had gone completely viral. Avril couldn't ignore it anymore. During a Facebook Live session, a fan straight up asked if she was dead. Avril's response was perfect. "No, I'm not dead. I'm here." She called it what it was. Bored people on the internet making up stories. Over the next few years, Avril addressed it multiple times. She called it so weird, the weirdest rumor she'd ever heard. In one interview, she said she was flabbergasted that people actually believed it. But here's the thing, Avril never got angry about it. She seemed more amused than anything. Confused? Sure, but not upset. By 2019, she'd basically accepted it as part of her legacy. In interviews, she'd joke about how bizarre it all was. "Everyone says I look the same as I always have," she told one magazine. But then there's that conspiracy. The irony wasn't lost on her. People claim she's been replaced, but also say she hasn't aged. Make it make sense, right? Then in 2022, Avril decided to join the fun. She posted a TikTok video that went absolutely viral. The video showed her jamming to her own song, Complicated, and right at the lyric, "Why'd you have to go and make things so complicated?" she gave the camera this look, a mix of exasperation and humor. It was perfect. The TikTok racked up over 6 million views instantly. Fans loved it, though some kept the joke going in the comments. "I'm even more suspicious now," one person wrote. "She's been 17 since 2003, joked another. Even when Avril addressed it, people wouldn't let it go. By 2024, Avril's attitude was crystal clear. On a podcast, she said, "Honestly, it's not that bad. I feel like I got a good one." Meaning, if you're going to have a crazy rumor about you, being an immortal clone isn't the worst. "Obviously, I am me," she confirmed. It's so dumb, but Avril gets it. The conspiracy is harmless fun for most people, and she's happy to laugh along. Here's the thing, Avril isn't alone. This whole celebrity replacement idea has been around for decades, and the internet has made it explode. Let's start with the original, the Paul McCartney conspiracy. Back in the 1960s, rumors spread that Paul from the Beatles had died in a car crash, and that the band replaced him with a lookalike. Fans went crazy. They played Beatles songs backward, looking for hidden messages. They analyzed album covers for clues. They pointed to Paul not wearing shoes on the Abbey Road cover as proof. Sound familiar? It's the exact same pattern as the Avril theory. A beloved star, a supposed death, a replacement, hidden clues everywhere. Paul eventually laughed it off, but the conspiracy became permanent Beatles folklore. Avril's theory is basically the modern version. Same story, different decade, different platform. But Avril and Paul aren't the only ones. Beyoncé has been hit with clone theories too. Some conspiracy theorists claim she was replaced by an Illuminati clone. They point to photos where she looks different angles, different lighting. Doesn't matter. To believers, it's proof. Then there's Taylor Swift. There's an absolutely wild theory that she's a clone of a former satanic high priestess named Zena LaVey. Yes, seriously, people compared their faces and decided they must be connected. It's completely absurd, but it spread anyway. Even Katy Perry got pulled into the madness. Some people claim she's actually John Benet Ramsey, the child from that famous unsolved case, grown up and living as a pop star. Again, zero evidence, but the theory exists. Why do these conspiracies keep happening? Because the internet loves mystery. Social media rewards wild stories. TikTok algorithms push conspiracy content because it gets engagement. People share it, argue about it, make videos about it. It's entertainment disguised as investigation. And once a conspiracy goes viral, it never truly dies. New generations discover it, remix it, keep it alive. The Avril theory got a massive boost on TikTok in the 2020s. Young users who weren't even born when Skater Boy came out started making videos about it, analyzing the evidence, joking about Melissa, keeping the legend going. It's become digital folklore, a story passed down through retweets and TikToks instead of campfires. And honestly, that's exactly what it is, folklore. Modern mythology for the internet age where truth and fiction blur, and the story is too good to let go. So we've covered the origins, the evidence, the responses, but here's the million-dollar question. Why won't this conspiracy just disappear? Because let's face it, it's been debunked 1,000 times. Avril herself has denied it repeatedly. The original creator admitted it was fake, and yet it lives on. Here's why. First, the meme value. This conspiracy is just too entertaining to let go. It's the perfect blend of dark and ridiculous, tragic enough to feel serious, absurd enough to be funny. That combination makes it irresistible for internet culture. People share it not because they believe it, but because it's wild. It sparks conversations, it gets reactions, and in the age of social media, that's currency. Then there's the algorithm factor. Platforms like TikTok and YouTube thrive on conspiracy content. Why? Because it keeps people watching. A video titled "Proof Avril Lavigne is Dead" will get more clicks than Avril Lavigne's style evolution. The mystery hooks viewers. The controversy keeps them engaged. So algorithms push these videos to more people, which creates more videos, which spreads the theory even further. It's a cycle that feeds itself. But there's something deeper going on too. Humans are hardwired to love mysteries. We want answers. We want to solve puzzles. Even when the puzzle is completely made up, the Avril conspiracy offers that. It gives people something to investigate, photos to analyze, lyrics to decode, clues to find. It turns passive music fans into active detectives, and that's addictive. There's also the community aspect. Believing in a conspiracy connects you to other believers. You're part of a group that knows the truth, while everyone else is blind. It's exclusive, special. Even if the truth you're defending is nonsense, for some people that sense of belonging matters more than actual facts. And finally, there's the entertainment versus truth problem. Most people who talk about this conspiracy don't actually believe it. They're just having fun. But when millions of people joke about something, it starts to feel real. New fans discover it. They can't tell who's serious and who's joking, so they fall down the rabbit hole. They start questioning, searching, and suddenly they're part of the cycle too. The theory survives because it's fun, because it's viral, because the internet rewards stories over truth, and because some mysteries are just too good to solve. Let's answer the question we started with. Is Avril Lavigne really Avril Lavigne? The answer is yes. Obviously yes. There is zero credible evidence that Avril died in 2003. Zero proof that Melissa Vandella even exists. Zero reason to believe any of this actually happened. Every piece of so-called evidence has a simple explanation. Faces change with age. Style evolves. Lyrics reflect real emotions, not hidden confessions. And moles, makeup, and lighting can make them appear or disappear in photos. The conspiracy falls apart the moment you look at it closely. Avril herself has said it multiple times. I'm here, I'm me. It's so dumb. And she's right. But here's what makes this story fascinating. It's not really about whether Avril is alive. It's about how we consume information in the digital age. How a hoax created as a social experiment became global folklore. How entertainment and truth got so blurred that millions of people shared a story they knew was fake. The Avril conspiracy is a perfect example of internet culture, where mysteries are more valuable than facts, where engagement matters more than accuracy, and where a good story never dies, even when it's been proven false 1,000 times. So what's the takeaway? Think critically. Question what you see online. And remember that some conspiracies survive not because they're true, but because they're fun. Avril Lavigne is alive and well. She's the same person who gave us Scaredy Boy and Complicated. She's just older now, like all of us. And that's the real story, not a conspiracy, just life.